Realistic zombie online game. Picking up scraps, making tools, farming, fighting monsters, and actively surviving to find the reasons why humans have failed to fight against zombie viruses. 16 complete VIP books with 23 million words, starting from online games and then returning to online games. Keywords of the novel. Corruption Country no pop-ups, Corruption Country TXT complete collection download, Corruption Country latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. Preface. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1 Preface. There is the most beautiful planet in the vast universe, called Earth. There, the blue sea and sky, towering mountains, surging rivers and seas, beautiful countryside, nurtured countless lives. For thousands of years, people have lived on this planet, enjoying unparalleled life and happiness. But from that day on, everything changed accordingly. The world is filled with a foul smell, and those who have already died become walking dead. The remaining people hastily boarded the Ark, leaving Mother Earth and our beautiful home. For thousands of years, humans living on blue stars have never forgotten their mothers. And today, millions of humanity will return to Earth and rebuild their homes. Lin Wu reached out to close the virtual display interface in front of him, and roast in his heart. A game, a zombie game, is it necessary to stand up and boast? For Lin Wu, a college student who is about to enter society, he has played countless games throughout his life, but has never elevated his morality or improved his literacy through games. Before, Lin Wu would inevitably pick up the keyboard and spray as a gesture of respect, but this game doesn't work. It's not because the developer Dawn is so awesome, but because they can't even play without it. A week ago, the second part of the Blue Star Home Plan, the second human settlement, was launched. Blue Star Steward's intelligent AI Dawn randomly selected 1 million Blue Star humans aged 18.40 to return to Earth and take over the first part of the home plan, a city built by robots. Lin Wu is one of the unlucky millions of people. The video Lin Wu watched before was a game promotional video called Home, which was simulated and produced by Dawn based on the outbreak of the Earth zombie virus in August 2144. One purpose is to give millions of people more fun during their 2-year hibernation journey. Lin Wu's concern for his home is due to another important purpose of his home: to allocate resources for immigrants. Millions of people immigrate to Earth to rebuild their homes, and in this process, even if professions are of equal value, houses are also of different sizes. No matter how much water is served, some people will be dissatisfied. Home is the answer developed by Dawn to solve this problem. In short, the points each person ultimately earns in the home game represent their resource allocation rights upon arrival on Earth. As for how points are calculated, Dawn did not provide a detailed explanation, only providing examples of several bonus and deduction points in the game. We hope that players can actively explore and play the game. The longer you survive in the game, the higher the score. Obtaining achievement entries in the game can earn extra points. Winning a powerful enemy can earn points. Death is the only deduction item in the Dawn explanation. Touring the magnificent mountains and rivers of Blue Star, having a farewell gathering with a group of friends, Lin Wu finally boarded the Ark after kissing the land of Blue Star. Can we not go? Of course not. The Dawn will be unhappy, even Lin Wu himself will be unhappy. Immigrant Earth is a rare opportunity for ordinary people to make a comeback in life. Whether you are on Blue Star, mule or horse, or in Rome, everyone is on the same starting line. For Lin Wu, one of the millions of immigrants, his wish is to break through the game, dominate his home, earn points, and win a big villa to reach the pinnacle of his life. Unfortunately, his wish is everyone's wish, and no one wants to start a new life from hell difficulty after immigrating to Earth. Following the system broadcast instructions, the passengers waved goodbye to their home planet and entered their respective hibernation chambers. As millions of immigrants enter hibernation, the home game officially begins. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Breakout. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2 Breakout. The interface that appeared in front of Lin Wu was very neat. The first step was to explain the beginner's tutorial. Due to the game's use of dark matter perturbation, a term for dark matter, which can be simply understood as the enhanced version of quantum entanglement power, simulation technology, most of the tutorials were meaningless and consistent with daily encounters with zombies. Next, the system explained the home convention. Article 1. Due to the use of realistic pain simulation in this game, intentional harm to other player characters, including but not limited to kidnapping, wall-tip behavior, etc., may result in severe punishment, and it is not ruled out that they may face legal trial in the real-world summary. Killing is permissible, but not abusive. Next is character creation, using real names for names. Lin Wu does not have the surname Lin. Like 95% of Blue Star's birth population, he was transferred to an orphanage by his parents after birth. All of this stems from breakthroughs in genetic technology. After each person is born, their parents can receive a baby genetic test, which explains the child's physical characteristics. Therefore, these 95% of the population are also referred to as ordinary people. Ordinary people do not inherit poverty, nor are they discriminated against, nor do they feel inferior due to their upbringing in an orphanage. The only thing that ordinary people criticize is the lack of imagination in Dawn's naming ability. Apart from using real names for names, height, weight, and appearance are all replicas of real people, and there is no right to even choose a hairstyle. Can you choose attributes? They are strength, agility, intelligence, physique, and willpower. Each player can choose one of their main attributes and one as their secondary attribute. Do we need to consider it? Lin Wu did not hesitate to choose agility as his main attribute. The longer you live, the higher your score. You can't run through zombies, at least you have to run through humans, right? 2044 is the era of hot weapons. How much force is needed to pull the trigger? Not to mention intelligence. If games can enhance intelligence and enhance IQ, wouldn't it be Einstein per person? The higher your willpower, the greater the pain you can endure. I don't know if others like it, but Lin Wu doesn't like it anyway. Physical fitness is endurance. Agility and physical fitness not only run fast, but also run for a long time. Of course, physical fitness is the secondary attribute. After creating the attributes, Lin Wu obtained 2 system entries. Comfort Personality and Marathoner. As a Blue Star butler, Dawn knows everyone's situation like the back of their hand. After the information registration was completed, Lin Wu was transmitted to a circular disc with a seating capacity of 100 people. It can be seen that this is an interstellar passenger spacecraft, with doors in the southeast, northwest, and north. Accompanied by flashes of white light, players enter their positions one by one. The middle screen displays a 10-minute countdown. The system starts distributing new equipment when the countdown is 5 minutes. The first type is melee equipment. Lin Wu chose a steak knife, but without him, he just clicked the wrong one. The second type of equipment is backpacks, which come in various colors. Without exception, all backpacks have a special bag specifically designed for storing basic material bags. The backpack has humanized hooks that allow you to hang your weapons on the edge of the backpack for easy access. The third type of equipment includes 5 basic material packages: ammunition, food, building materials, medical equipment, and gasoline. The material pack is an indispensable item in the survivor base, and opening the material pack can obtain certain items. The system continues to distribute snacks, including peanuts, melon seeds, cola, and beer. Some can reduce fatigue, while others can quickly restore endurance. Countdown for 1 minute, the system is still distributing equipment. Bandages, antibiotics, anti-inflammatory drugs, or alcohol. At this point, all players have come to understand that getting things at the fastest speed is the way, and getting things faster is the key to getting more. So everyone was frantically operating, and with this frenzy, everyone's backpacks were quickly packed. Lin Wu watched coldly from the side. These people probably don't know the shamelessness of dawn, do they? The spaceship's red lights went out and green lights lit up, and the 4 doors began to slowly descend outward. What catches everyone's eye is an incredibly magnificent night city scenery, but under the brightly lit city, no one can be seen. 10 super cities welcomed millions of guests tonight, and Lin Wu's spaceship with the number 74 placed them at a crossroads in the city. To the east is a row of pedestrian streets, filled with a dazzling array of goods. To the west is a bar street built along the river, with neon lights flashing with magical colors. To the south is a park with a faint view of the lake. To the north is a residential area, with detached villas paired with high-rise apartments standing on both sides of the road. Is this the night on Earth? It's so beautiful. Everyone was stunned by the beautiful night scenery. Blue stars also have nights, but they have 6 moon-like moons that reflect the light of their stars onto them. Therefore, blue stars only have relative nights and no absolute nights. The sound of broken glass interrupted everyone's thoughts. As they looked at it, an ordinary-looking zombie smashed through the shop window glass and slowly walked towards everyone, swaying and swaying. Everyone knows this is a zombie game, and you don't panic when you see zombies. 2 young men pulled out their baseball bats and waited for the zombies to come over. Someone analyzed and commented, move 0.7 meters every 2 seconds. Both hands are missing, and the only threatening tooth has also fallen out. What does it want? An uncle smiled and asked, does it want to scare us to death, or do it want to laugh us to death? Everyone couldn't help but burst into laughter upon hearing this. Lin Wu had a bad premonition and relied on his agility to climb up the street lamp and look in all directions. On the east, west, and south sides, there are lights that cannot be seen at a glance, except for a light area of only over 700 meters to the north, and then the lights start to sparse until they disappear into the darkness. Lin Wu lit the streetlights and ran north without caring about anyone else. Urban resources are abundant, but there are also many zombies. With Lin Wu's understanding of dawn, do not take advantage of the benefits presented in front of you. Good luck, brothers and sisters. The poor zombie stopped a dozen meters away from the player recently, with its head drooping and resting on its chest. Due to its fragile body, many players were even worried that its sudden bow would break its neck. The zombie raised its head and looked up at the starry sky. A stream of blood shot out of its mouth, accompanied by an extremely piercing and sharp long sound that echoed through the sky. A cloud-piercing arrow. Thousands of soldiers and horses come to the banquet. Various parts of the city echoed with sharp and long sounds, and various zombies appeared in pink. These zombies appear out of thin air, appearing within 100 meters of the first zombie and rushing towards the player like a tide. The good news is that their ferocity is far inferior to that of zombies in the movie Zombie World War, while the bad news is that they are more than 100 times stronger than zombies walking around. The stopping crowd dispersed into birds, and zombies from all directions gathered around them, screaming as the zombies crouched and emitted sound waves, summoning waves of zombies one after another. The first group of players who were unlucky were the ones who had exhausted the heaviest endurance of their backpacks. After being knocked down, they screamed and screamed incessantly. The remaining players are not doing well either. Even if they lose their backpacks, their endurance is running low. The entire scene echoed the ancient poem. The trail of people disappears, and all dishes are transformed into Chinese cuisine. Lin Wu, who was both light and agile, and added the bonus of the marathon athlete entry, has already escaped. He escaped from the headlight area and successfully shook off all the zombies and players. Looking around, except for a few zombies wandering on the roadside, there were no other moving objects visible. Seeing this scene, Lin Wu turned from running to walking, and his endurance bar, which had consumed 20%, also began to recover. Lick the dog until the end with nothing, but in fact, this statement is not entirely true. Lin Wu, as a licking dog during his freshman year, trained hard for a year to seek the favor of a goddess and ultimately won the runner-up in the college marathon held in the region, which enabled him to obtain the entry for a marathon athlete in the home game. Unfortunately, the goddess was more concerned about the senior who injured his foot after running less than a kilometer, and also issued a good person card to Lin Wu, who was confessing to him with a trophy. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Automobiles. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This translator is experiencing an error, please try another translator. Chapter 4. Changpo, Part 1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4 Changpo, Part 1, My name is Shirtu. To avoid the girl spreading rumors, Shirtu felt it was better to speak clearly. My name is Lin Wu. The co-pilot Lin Wu turned around and nodded politely to the two people in the back seat. The short-haired girl raised her fingers between her eyebrows and said, Little knife. Hey, what's your name? The long-haired girl covered the heavenly spirit with her hand and answered in pain, Dayu. Lin Wu had many questions today and asked, Isn't she your friend? Why don't you know her name? Xiao Dao replied, You and Sure are also my friends now. If you don't say it, I won't know your name either. Lin Wu accepted the answer and asked, Your label personality should be the protector personality. Xiao Dao exclaimed, How do you know? When did you sneak a peek at my label? Protector personality. Strong territorial awareness, brave to face everything, protective, and easy to trust others. Before Lin Wu could answer, Dayu spoke up, the infection rate has increased to 5%. Her tone was flat, as if she had hidden expectations, hoping for everyone's concern. Stone delved into the game manual and said while driving, After being infected with the zombie virus, you must go to the medical room for recuperation. During the recuperation period, not only can you control the increase in infection, but you can also reduce the infection rate until you finally recover. If the infection rate is less than 50%, it will increase by 1% every 3 minutes. If it is more than 50%, it will increase by 1% every minute. Xiao Dao said optimistically, 3 hours, then there's no problem. Shirtu said, Little sister, it's not that there's no problem, it's a big problem. The biggest problem is in the medical room. The small knife clearly has no intellectual attributes, and asked, Medical room. As Stone pulled the handbrake to slow down, he said, Hospitals and clinics are not safe. With our worn-out equipment, it is impossible to protect Dayu from attacks for a long time. Therefore, there is only one way. Establish a survivor base and build a medical room. Curious baby Lin Wu asked, Stone, why do you know so much? Game manual. Stone explained, I chose the intelligence attribute, and the main intelligence attribute can increase reading speed. I spent 1 minute reading the game manual. Lin Wu asked in surprise, is the main attribute intelligence? The mind and body are different. Adding agility can improve physical flexibility, but adding intelligence does not increase IQ. Don't you think the mind is more important than the body in the apocalypse? Stone asked in response. Xiao Dao disagreed and said, I believe that strength and willpower are the most important. A strong body combined with a strong spirit is the ultimate weapon for survival in the apocalypse. The two of them looked at Lin Wu together, hoping that Lin Wu could support their views. Lin Wu weakly said, Leave the Green Mountains here, not afraid of burning firewood. 36 plans are the best. Xiao Dao asked, if your friend was knocked down by a zombie, would you run away alone? Lin Wu said, if you were knocked down with a small knife, you know I don't have any power attributes and can't carry you away from the corpse group, what would you do? Xiao Dao immediately replied, I will let you run for your own life. Lin Wu nodded and said, I will listen to you. What's wrong? Little knife grabbing short hair, didn't figure it out for a moment. Dayu said, 6%. Her tone was a bit anxious and also meant to remind everyone to pay attention to their virus infection. Shirtu glanced at Dayu through the rearview mirror and said, "We still have 3 hours left. We can reach Beishan town in 20 minutes and establish the gathering place and medical room as soon as possible. It's unclear what conditions are needed to build the gathering place and what materials are needed to build the medical room." "What basic package did you bring?" Lin Wu said, "Medical kit." Dayu replied, "Food bag." Xiao Dao replied, "Ammunition pack." "Ammunition pack." Lin Wu and Shi asked in unison, very curious about Xiao Dao's thoughts. The knife pointed ahead and said, "Be careful. On both sides of the road ahead are steep cliffs, with many vehicles parked on the road, including trucks, cars, and motorcycles. From the scene, it appears that a traffic accident occurred, which resulted in multiple cars being damaged and burned. People had to abandon their vehicles and walk away. The old driver turned the steering wheel to the left and the left front wheel of the car drove up a cliff at a 30-degree angle, driving continuously for 15 meters and successfully driving the car out of the congested area." Everyone applauded together. Stone looked calm, and when the applause stopped, he said, "Brothers and sisters, now there are some good news and some bad news. The first bad news is that the fuel tank is damaged, and we can't drive to Beishan town. The driver can see the specific damage conditions and parameters of the car." Xiao Dao asked, "Where's the good news?" The stone replied, 2 kilometers away is a continuous downhill section of 8 kilometers. The roadside sign reminded that 2 kilometers away is a long downhill section. Lin Wu asked, "What's the bad news?" Stone replied, "We don't have brake pedals, which means we can't brake, and without gasoline, which means we can't rely on the engine to brake." Lin Wu opened his mouth and wanted to ask. A small knife covered Lin Wu's mouth from behind and said, "Where's the good news? As long as we only ask for good news, there will always be good news and not bad news." Shirtu said, "If we can survive an 8-kilometer continuous downhill, we can reach Beishan town in another 4 kilometers. With his strength, Xiao Dao tightly covered Lin Wu's mouth and asked, "Where's the good news?" Stone said, "I came up with a braking method, but it may not necessarily work." "What's the solution?" Stone said, "Stop your foot." Before running out of gasoline, the vehicle finally reached the top of the slope. The 4 players bravely opened the car door, stomped on the ground with one foot, and tightly grasped the armrest inside the car with both hands. The stone asked, "Are you ready?" The stone released the handbrake and the car began to slide slowly. The stone tightly grasped the steering wheel with both hands and said, "Bad news, we will lose lighting in a while." Lin Wujing said, "If you hadn't said it earlier, you could have abandoned the car." Stone. "You've always had good news, I didn't have a chance to say bad news." Xiao Dao shouted, "Stop it." The car was getting faster and faster, and 4 people rubbed against the ground with one foot. Screams and screams echoed through the valley. Stone has already pulled the handbrake. He holds the steering wheel tightly with both hands, keeps his eyes on the front, rubs one foot on the ground, throws several big turns continuously, and keeps cheering everyone. "Brothers and sisters, we have driven 700 meters, and victory is in sight." Lin Wu shouted loudly, "How long can the car lights last?" Accompanied by Lin Wu's problem, the car headlights instantly turned off, and a small knife choked Lin Wu's heart. The car quickly drove off the road, arching over the dirt mound on the roadside and flipping over, with the roof down and 4 wheels on top, sparking and lightning along the way. A miracle also occurred, and the speed slowed down. Just as the speed was about to drop below 40 kilometers, Lin Wu, who had been thrown into a car, asked, "Is the bad news that we are about to stop?" Xiao Dao said urgently, "Please shut up and only say good news." Everyone shouted out loud, and the car collided with the roadside guardrail. The car rolled over again, with all 4 wheels landing on the ground again. The front and rear of the car veered off and stopped in place. The four of them were still in shock. The old driver, Sure, put on the handbrake and the car began to slide again. Sure used the curve and speed to shake the tail and correct the front of the car to the front. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Changpo, Lower. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5 Changpo, Lower. As the car continued to descend the steep slope and faced the increasing speed, Xiao Dao shouted, "Good news, I have good news." Stone. Yes, there is. Do you have it? Lin Wu exclaimed in surprise, "It's still good now." Halfway through, he was covered in his mouth by the small knife in the back seat. Stone said, "Activate Eagle Eye mode." I saw the stone controlling the steering wheel and driving past a zombie sleeping in the middle of the road. Lin Wu was even more surprised and said, "Sleeping slot, have you made money?" The stone calmly controlled the steering wheel and asked, "Why do you think I'm wasting money?" Lin Wu replied, "Because you avoided zombies." Stone asked, "Since you can see zombies, why can't I avoid them?" It makes sense. Lin Wu understood that after a long period of darkness, human eyes adapted to the darkness and could see objects at close range with the help of faint moonlight. Xiao Dao ignored these and said, "Good news, I have good news." Stone. We are all still alive. Lin Wu subconsciously asked, "Where's the bad news?" Stone. The speed is about to exceed 100. Xiao Dao hates it, slapping Lin Wu's mouth and asking you to ask. The speed is getting faster and quickly reaching 120 kilometers per hour. Xiao Dao shouted, "Good news, I have good news." Emergency lane. The stone turned the steering wheel, and the car left the road and drove onto the emergency lane. After entering the sand-paved road, the car immediately slowed down and quickly stopped in the sand. The stone pushed open the car door and got out of the car. The adrenaline receded, causing his legs to tremble uncontrollably. He held onto the car with one hand and said with lingering fear, "Money should buy a car, it's too durable." Xiao Dao covered Lin Wu's mouth and got off the car, saying, "Good news." Stone said, "As long as we work together to push the car back, we can continue downhill." Xiao Dao said to Lin Wu, "Don't talk, let alone ask for bad news, understand?" Lin Wu nodded repeatedly, and the small knife finally let go of Lin Wu. Without the help of Lin Wu and Daiyu, the small knife and stone worked together to lift the car. Although taking a few steps exhausted their endurance, after persistently resting and lifting the car, the two still managed to get the car back on the road. During this period, Lin Wu was not idle either. When he was responsible for guarding the surroundings, he discovered several zombies attracted by the sound. Lin Wu curved around and turned behind a zombie, slowly catching up with it. He raised his steak knife and pierced the zombie's head, and the zombie died immediately. The system continued to guide Lin Wu's movements. Lin Wu slowly lowered the steak knife in one hand, placed the zombie on the ground, and then pulled out the steak knife. The entire process only made a slight popping sound during the assassination. After hearing abnormal sounds, zombies will walk to the location where the abnormal sound is emitted, and the process of walking is not fast. If a zombie sees a human, it will immediately start howling. Actions vary depending on the type of zombie. The howling of zombies in their mouths will attract nearby zombies. If the battle cannot be quickly ended or evacuated, screaming zombies will quickly arrive at the scene. "What are you doing?" Xiao Dao saw Lin Wu's hands groping back and forth on the body of the deceased zombie, and asked with fear. He didn't expect you to be like Lin Wu. Looking for something, Lin Wu replied in a low voice, "Is there something?" Xiao Dao regained his energy and approached eagerly, asking, "Do you have it?" Lin Wu took out a lighter and said, "Yes." Seeing the spoils of war, Xiao Dao also became interested and focused on a zombie more than 10 meters away, pulling out his own nail hammer. As soon as Ku took a few steps, the knife began to retreat and whispered, "There's a scream." The stone waved by the car and said, "Let's go." The four of them tiptoed onto the car, screaming less than 10 meters away from them. The darkness of the night clearly affected the already visually impaired zombies. The stone put down the handbrake, and the car began to slide. The car, which was almost scattered, made a loud noise as it started moving. It screamed and sounded the attack horn without hesitation, and more than 10 zombies were brushed out of thin air. The closest thing to the vehicle is a female zombie. Although she is as thin as a bone, her movements are very agile, grabbing onto the handle of the driver's door. Grasping the door handle with both feet, they kicked wildly. Before the stones could react, the driver's door was pulled away completely, and the door rolled incessantly on the road with zombies. Stone felt a lingering fear. "I have driven an open-door car before, but it's my first time driving an open-door car. With no seat belt, no doors, no windows, no windshield, and going downhill at full speed, if one of the steering wheels were turned out, he might fly off the road. Lucky enough to smash on the stone wall and turn it into a poster, unlucky enough to fall off the cliff and turn it into mud. Fortunately, luck is not bad. The last 4 kilometers are gentle slopes, and with the combination of handbrake and foot brake, the vehicle's speed is always controlled at around 50 kilometers per hour. After the car came to a complete stop and was scrapped, the 4 people were only 4 kilometers away from Beishang town. Only 20 minutes have passed, and the 4 of them still have 160 minutes to establish a medical room. On the way to Beishang town on foot, curious baby Lin Wu asked many questions. Where did the car come from? How did Xiao Dao escape the city while carrying a girl on his back? After answering, Lin Wu realized that the key lies in time. There is a 3-minute gap between everyone leaving the spacecraft and the first scream. Stone used these 3 minutes of blank time to locate the vehicle. Little Knives used these 3 minutes to avoid the sea of corpses, walk through alleys, eliminate lonely zombies, and ultimately successfully leave the city. After listening to Lin Wu, he felt the most foolish of all. He ran out completely on his legs. Lin Wu's 1000000 wise. Stone, why do you believe me and let me get on the car? Stone patiently replied, I have no resources to deceive or rob, so I only have one car. If you rob the car, you still have to drive north to the town. If you don't rob my car, we will also go north to the town. The sound of the stone's voice was too loud, causing 2 zombies on the roadside. With a small knife, they took out a hammer and one by one with the stone, knocked down the zombies and then broke their heads. After finishing, Stone apologized to everyone for causing unnecessary trouble to the team. Continuing forward for about 100 meters, Lin Wu saw a zombie sleeping in the middle of the road more than 10 meters away. He raised his hand and asked everyone to pause their advance. He quickly and silently walked over, using his hand to strike and kill the zombie's head. The stone said to the small knife, a sharp blade seems to be more effective than a blunt weapon. Xiao Dao disagreed and said, the sharp blade lacks the ability to repel and knock down. In a direct confrontation with the enemy, he is very vulnerable to holding a short blade, and his hands are easily scratched and infected. Lin Wu looked at his interface and waited for everyone to come and walk together. He asked, my agility has added a star, but why can't I feel the bonus on my body? Stone, a person who has read a book, explained, that's not a bonus, but proficiency. The system will unlock certain actions based on your behavior of increasing proficiency after reaching a certain star level. For example, in reality, most people cannot complete the second kick. If you can unlock the second kick action, you can achieve it in the game. Dayu didn't say much all the way, but suddenly spoke and pointed to the left, saying, there are street lights. The stone looked at the street lamp and said, it's time to head north to town. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Base, Part 1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The source has no content or has errors. Chapter 7. Base, Part 2. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Chapter 7 Base, Part 2. Lin Wu knelt on the ground and crawled on his knees, his left hand groping in front and his right hand gripping the steak knife tightly. Firstly, he touched the table and followed it. Lin Wu judged that it was a large table placed in the middle of the room, and roughly guessed the layout of the room. Lin Wu walked along the edge of the table, his fingers slowly groping forward on the ground, and the progress was very slow. 35%, said Dayu in an effort to lower her voice, Shu. The stone silenced her. Stone walked to the left room door on the first floor and said, "Don't rush." His voice was quieter than Dayu's. Since Dayu's voice didn't disturb the zombies, his voice wouldn't have disturbed them. Stone returned to the stairs and Dayu whispered in Stone's ear, "Maybe there were no zombies." The stone answered absent-mindedly, "It's possible." He was thinking about a question: can beauty be eaten as a meal? At this moment, Lin Wu's finger in the left room touched the fabric. He slowly moved his finger and could determine whether it was a zombie. However, Lin Wu could not be certain whether he touched the fabric as a zombie's hand or leg, nor could he determine the position of the zombie's head. Lin Wu was not influenced by Dayu. He walked at his own pace, following the edges of the fabric, moving his fingers inch by inch to explore, and finally felt a void. From this, Lin Wu determined that it was a leg and had already presented the overall posture of the zombie lying on the ground in his mind. Lin Wu found the fabric on the zombie's arm and successfully located the zombie's head. Unless the zombie is sleeping with its head tilted, Lin Wu is confident that one blow will be fatal. Just as Lin Wu was about to take action, Dayu whispered from the door, "Are you ready?" The zombie sat up at the sound, its head colliding with Lin Wu's head. Lin Wu couldn't determine the position of the zombie's head, so he could only hold it tightly and took a hard bite on his left forearm. Pain. Lin Wu let out a muffled groan, pressing down on the zombie with his left hand and stabbing the zombie's head with his right hand. Infection rate is 10%, damn it. The movement in the left room caused great concern among the people outside. Dayu still had to ask a question and was pulled away by a small knife covering her mouth. This skill, the small knife, has been practiced perfectly tonight, covering it accurately. After searching around, Lin Wu confirmed the safety of the left room. Lin Wu left the left room, and Xiao Dao whispered in Lin Wu's ear, "Occasionally there is a low and faint sound, in." Xiao Dao drew a room map on Lin Wu's chest and touched one of the positions. Lin Wu nodded and entered the right room, crouching and kneeling down, slowly crawling towards the position where the sound was coming from. This time Lin Wu first touched his hair and traced it upwards. Lin Wu was very scared in his heart, and the recent close contact with the zombie still left him with lingering fear. But the fear did not stop Lin Wu's movement. He determined the position of the female zombie's head and resolutely struck, emitting a perfect popping sound. System notification: Lin Wu obtained a new entry. Courage. How can one live in a villa without experiencing zombies, with one effort and one gain? I have the toilet in the basement, it's great. The lighting effect in the second floor room is good, providing a certain level of visibility even at night, which makes Lin Wu's work much easier. Through close-range observation, he completed the first step of occupying the base after harvesting 2 zombie lives. The team leader Stone summoned everyone to the second floor and said, "There is only one condition. 1 person or more. We have met the condition. The first question is the name of the base." Xiao Dao blurted out, "Knife base." The stone nodded and said, "Sure." Xiao Dao sneered at his proposal and said, "I'm joking." Lin Wu. Lin Wu said, "I haven't had any thoughts about names since I was born." Stone. As he was annoyed by Dayu's behavior and got bitten, Lin Wu deliberately skipped Dayu. Stone responded, "The name of the base is mainly for outsiders to see, and even through its name, it can deter outsiders." What about the shadow base? The most dangerous threat to the apocalypse is the cunning little ones, and no one wants to provoke them. Agree, sure. I have no objection, please hurry up. Very soon. Stone said, the base is divided into 3 management systems, and one type must be chosen. They are the command system, the collective system, and the individual system. Since they cannot be changed after establishment, it is of great significance, and we need to first understand the relationships among them. Command system. Except for the commander, only one melee weapon can be retained after entering the base security zone, and other items will be forcibly stored. Any use of items must be approved by the commander. The commander may appoint a deputy commander to be in charge of designated types of materials. The commander may decide to expel and detain members of the base. Collective system. The collective decides which materials must be forcibly stored. Members appointed to field positions may carry weapons. Appointed as a logistics member, capable of handling food and medical supplies. Use the system of minority obeying majority to decide the fate of members and decide whether to accept new members. Personal system. There are no restrictions on materials, and you can keep the weapons and equipment you have found, as well as the material packages you have obtained. The base cannot forcibly expel members. Members can introduce outsiders to join the base directly. Simply put, in a leadership system, the leader has the greatest systemic power. In a collective system, system power is held by the majority. In individualism, there is no systematic power to constrain individuals. Stone said, what do you think? Lin Wu said, there are both advantages and disadvantages, the question of whether the benefits are greater or the disadvantages are greater. Xiao Dao said, Uncle, your opinion should be quite mature. Let me share your perspective. Stone said, if there are many people in our base, the leadership system is the best management method, with the highest work efficiency, which can ensure that the leader is committed to the development of the base. The disadvantage is that the leader must strictly implement a fair reward and punishment system in order to make everyone obey the management. Stone. If there are not many people in our base, about 10 people, a collective system would be better than a leadership system. Each person should fulfill their duties, take what they need, and the minority should obey the majority. The disadvantage is that they lack motivation and are prone to factionalism. When performing their voting functions, everyone tends to lean towards personal interests rather than the right side, which can lead to the base making wrong decisions. Stone said, individualization is a very sharp double-edged sword, suitable for small groups that trust each other. Each person needs to have a certain degree of self-restraint ability. If there is a lack of trust or conflicts among members, it may cause catastrophic consequences to the base. Currently, our team is most suitable for individualism. This base was established by everyone together, and if you are not satisfied, it is best for everyone to destroy it. Lin Wu proposed, we can implement a rule-based individual system, a conflict-based collective system, and a command and control system. Sure too, you will be responsible for allocating resources and managing affairs, and in case of conflicts, the collective will vote to resolve them. Xiao Dao punched Lin Wu in the chest and praised, you have insight. Lin Wu responded with a thumbs up, truly playing the role of the main force. His small fists were no match for the zombie's teeth. Is it okay with individualism? Stone reminded, individualism has high requirements for everyone, are you sure? Lin Wu nodded and said, I'm sure. Xiao Dao. Okay. Dayu. Sure. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Scratching, Part 1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8 Scratching, Part 1, The Shadow Survivor Base has officially been established. To celebrate the establishment of the base, the system has given away 2 eternal wall candles in each room and a bonfire iron bucket in the backyard to meet the basic lighting needs of players. In addition, a new radio station has been added at the staircase on the 2nd floor. The stone guides everyone into the building mode of the base. This base belongs to a micro-scale base, providing 4 construction units, and can build up to 100 contents, with a variety of contents. Stone said, firstly, there must be a place to sleep, and each person must have a bed, otherwise fatigue will continue to increase. Sacrificing one building unit to build a bed can earn 2 beds, and each bed can be upgraded once to become a bunk bed, adding 1 bed. Currently, we have 4 people and need 9 units of building materials. After each building material package is stored, it can produce 3.6 building materials, so we need at least 2 building material packages. Changpo said, next is the medical room. In addition to treating infections, it can also make materials such as bandages and antibiotics, but basic medical knowledge is required. Everyone should first put the basic package in the warehouse. After the Lin Wu medical bag is stored, it generates 4 units of medical supplies. The ammunition bag carried by the small knife generates 4 units of ammunition, Daiyu's food bag generates 4 units of food, and the stone's building materials bag generates 4 units of building materials. There are 5 types of basic resources in the base, namely medical care, food, ammunition, gasoline, and building materials. The main source is the basic resource package. The current resources of Shadow Base are medical 4, food 4, ammunition 4, gasoline 0, and building materials 4. Changpo said, building a medical room requires 5 building materials and 3 medical supplies, and daily maintenance requires 1 medical supply. Therefore, we are currently lacking 3 building materials packages. Daiyu said, everyone is in good spirits now and doesn't need to rest for the time being. We can temporarily postpone the construction of beds. I think Lin Wu has also been infected, so we should first build a medical room. The stone nodded and said, then we're missing a building material bag. No, why do the 4 of us consume 5 pieces of food every day? Xiao Dao raised his hand and said, for the Big Stomach King contestant, increase your strength by 30% and consume 200% of your normal daily food consumption. Like the Lin Wu marathon contestant, Xiao Dao once participated in the final of the Big Stomach King contestant competition held in the region and achieved 7th place. Shi bared his teeth and clearly felt a headache about this matter. He said, we still need to get a food package before 8 o'clock tomorrow. Lin Wu, please pay attention to the basic packages we currently need. Building materials and food packages. Xiao Dao, you and Lin Wu are together. Your task is to draw a map, record all the locations of shops and houses in the center of the town, and also pay attention to the location of cars in the center of the town. Changpo said, Daiyu has a high infection rate. Don't go out for now, stay at home and debug the radio. Set up our base channel, listen to and record other channels. In the future, we need to deal with others. Daiyu asked, what about you? I need to thoroughly study the operation of the base. We still have over an hour to establish a medical room, with plenty of time. Stone called out Lin Wu, who was about to leave. Lin Wu, the food will be settled tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, and the most important thing is the building materials package. Understood. In fact, Lin Wu only understood half of it, and he always felt that Stone had another plan on the food issue. Stone reminded, there are many guns, more is better. We lack defensive force. Stone believed that he should be the first group of people to arrive in Beishang town, where resources were the most abundant at this time. As a leader, he cannot just think about 1 or 2 days of life, he must consider the future. A voice came from the radio. Wanderers calling, wanderers calling. The stone took the radio and responded, Wanderer, this is the shadow. There are living people. The other party was very surprised and continued, Hi brother, we are in Beixia town, Yuxian County, Beixia. Stone responded, Hello brother, we are in Beishang town, Swa County. Please record our channel. He prayed in his heart, hoping that Beishang town would not have neighbors so soon. The number of zombies in the commercial area of Beishang town is much higher than that in the residential area. Fortunately, the commercial area is large, and the zombies are scattered in all directions. As long as you carefully observe the behavior of the zombies and do not provoke them, you can shuttle freely among them. The commercial area of Beishan town is also a T-shaped intersection, with some residential buildings and warehouses in addition to shops. The first store is a clinic, and if you walk straight down a steep slope from the back door of the shadow base, the distance is only about 50 meters. Lin Wu looked up at the shadow base and could see that the boundary of the base was green, with the safety zone within the green area. I made a note of it. The knife put away the paper and pen. There is a truck next to the clinic, and the truck goes to a gas station. Xiao Dao asked, do gas stations have building materials? There shouldn't be. Lin Wu crouched in the middle of the road, pointing to a house 20 meters away from the clinic. It seems like a warehouse. The two of them walked in unison and quickly arrived at the iron door of the warehouse. A small knife pulled the door and found it locked. Kick it open. Don't. Lin Wu took his backpack and rummaged through it before taking out a lock opener. This is a disposable unlocking device. Under the guidance of the system, Lin Wu holds a hook in his left hand and inserts a needle into the lock hole in his right hand. Due to Lin Wu's agility attribute, the difficulty of unlocking is reduced. With a click in less than 5 seconds, Lin Wu opens the lock. Beside the iron door was a tool table with poor lighting. Lin Wu slowly opened the drawer and groped inside, taking out a set of small tools such as screwdrivers and pliers. Finally, he took out a flashlight. This is not a regular flashlight, it is a flashlight that comes with a rechargeable charger and can be attached to clothes. Special reminder for item introduction. The light of a flashlight will not attract any zombies. Turn on the flashlight and the world instantly lights up. Okay, it's not that bright, but it's enough. It's enough for Lin Wu to see 2 zombies lying on the ground pretending to be dead. Lin Wu pointed to a row of flat noodles on the left, pulled out his steak knife and felt for 2 zombies. I don't know whether Xiao Dao is clever or not, but he is obedient. Cat Waste went to the flat noodles to find something useful. After solving the zombies in the warehouse in the forest fog, pry the crate with a nail hammer. All 4 zombies in the warehouse were ghosts under Lin Wu's knife while sleeping, and Lin Wu's flashlight illuminated the knife to indicate safety. Xiao Dao waved his hand and instructed Lin Wu to go out on guard. Since there was no threat inside the warehouse, the threat could only come from outside. Pulling out the first nail made a loud noise. The knife bit its teeth and closed its eyes and waited for a moment. It did not hear anything. So it pulled out the second and third nails and quickly removed a flat noodles. To the disappointment of the knife, there was a bundle of rope inside, weighing 5 kilograms, which could be exchanged into 0.5 unit building materials at the base. There are 3 metal doors in the warehouse. The knife pried the second flat noodles at the south door, but there was no time to see the loot just after prying it open. The sound of slapping came from the metal door of the south door. The sound was quite loud, and Xiao Dao instinctively thought it was Lin Wu. He stood up and pressed the door handle lock to push it forward. I didn't see anyone. I stretched out my head and looked for a while, but still didn't see anyone. Is it an illusion? The knife closed the door and was ready to take off the cover of the crate. The sound of knocking on the door came again. The knife opened the door again, but still no one was seen. The nearest zombie that could be seen was an ant wandering on the road 20 meters away. Is it Ah Piao? Lost and drifting. The small knife closed the door, placing its hand on the doorknob and waiting quietly. As soon as the sound of knocking the door rang, the small knife immediately pushed open the door. The opening of the door made Xiao Dao's hair stand on end, but he still had nothing. Lin Wu. Where are you? Xiao Dao trembled and called softly, but there was no response. He could only close the door again. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Scratching, Part 2. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Chapter 9 Scratching, Part 2. When the fourth knocking sounded, Xiao Dao bravely pushed the door again. She was already prepared to face emptiness, but this time she saw someone in front of her, which immediately scared her and made her jump up. During the jumping process, it was clear that the person was Lin Wu, so I inserted my left hand into my mouth to stop myself from shouting. "Why did you knock on the door to scare me?" Xiao Dao questioned. Lin Wu looked innocent and said, "I didn't knock on the door. I heard the knocking and walked around, but I didn't see anything." Xiao Dao breathed a sigh of relief and said, "Did you hear me too? That's good, that's good." Then Xiao Dao saw a zombie appear next to Lin Wu. Lin Wu was about to enter, and the zombie was about to grab Lin Wu's shoulder and bite him down. The little knife instinctively stood up and kicked Lin Wu in the abdomen, and Lin Wu took a step back and knocked down the broken zombie. At this moment, Lin Wu regained his senses and crouched down, taking the life of the zombie with a knife. Xiao Dao also figured out the situation. The zombies heard the sound of dismantling the flat noodles. According to their logic, they should go to the place where the sound was made. The zombie with only a little intelligence knew it was useless to beat the wall, so he started beating the door. As soon as the knife opened the door, it pushed it backwards to the back door. The knife, holding the door handle, missed it because its line of sight was blocked by the door. One by one, and finally Lin Wu, who heard the commotion, came over to check the situation, but he didn't see the zombies on the ground behind the door. Good leg technique. Lin Wu raised his thumb, feeling scared in his heart. He was already very serious, careful, and vigilant, but he didn't expect to be almost hit. The main reason is that there are many obstacles in human gathering places, such as low walls, shrubs, green trees, discarded trucks, etc., and corpses can be hidden everywhere. The knife opened the lid of the flat noodles and found the first building materials bag. "Yes, I have." Then he put the building materials bag in his backpack. Lin Wu continued to be on guard, while Xiao Dao continued to open the blind box. "Cable, take it up. Plastic water pipe, take it up. Wow, car repair tool, good thing, take it." The small knife became more and more forceful, gradually losing its original caution. Not only did it not worry about making a loud noise when pulling out the nail, but it even used its feet. Lin Wu was very uneasy as he listened to the earth-shattering sound inside the warehouse. He walked back to Xiao Dao and said, "Keep your voice down." "Building materials bag," Xiao Dao excitedly said. "Each person can only carry one backpack, and each backpack can only carry one material bag." Lin Wu put the material bag in his backpack and said, "Let's send the goods back first." As soon as the words fell, the sound of shattered glass came from 5 meters away, and a zombie broke through the glass and crawled in. Lin Wu secretly screamed in his heart that it was not good. As expected, the sound of broken glass immediately triggered a knocking sound on the door, followed by more broken glass. Zombies were flipping into the warehouse one by one. "Run!" The two of them ran towards the main door, and 2 zombies had already entered and walked towards them. Xiao Dao took the lead and kicked down the zombie that was rushing towards him. He picked up a hammer and hit the second zombie's head, knocking it down to the ground. After rushing out of the door, the small knife hugged the waist of the third zombie that suddenly appeared, and the person flipped back, turning the zombie's head down and forcefully breaking its neck. The zombies on both sides surrounded each other, and without the need for a hammer, a small knife kicked a zombie's knee and knocked it down, while an elbow hit the zombie's skull that grabbed its shoulder. One force reduces 10 times, and having the power is so capricious. Xiao Dao ignored the principle of silence and shouted, "Where are you? You go first, I'll cut off later." Lin Wu had already flipped out of the broken glass window and bent over to avoid the impact. He heard the sound of a small knife and urgently shouted, "You go first, don't cut off the rear." "Xiao Dao. You go quickly, I'll cut it off." How did you get into a bloody drama? Lin Wu jumped over the low wall to lure the zombies over the wall, then jumped back and successfully shook off the 2 zombies, shouting, "I have skills. I can only survive after you leave." Xiao Dao hesitated and ran around, then turned around and asked, "What skill?" "Hey, what skill?" Lin Wu didn't have time to answer Xiao Dao. Upon returning to the road, Xiao Dao saw Lin Wu running towards the depths of the commercial area, with no less than 30 zombies following behind him. Just as Xiao Dao hesitated whether to follow and see if he could help, he suddenly discovered a screaming one in the lost group. "I can only trust Lin Wu." Xiao Dao immediately turned around and headed towards the base. When he saw the stone, Xiao Dao hurriedly said, "Lin Wu has provoked a large group of zombies." The stone calmed Xiao Dao's emotions and said, "He ran out of the city's corpse. See, it's okay." Daiyu on one side urgently asked, "Have you brought back your building materials bag?" Lin Wu could hardly come back, and a small knife was her only hope. "Yes, there is one." Xiao Dao put the building materials package into the warehouse, and Daiyu immediately clicked to build the medical room. 3 minutes later, the construction of the medical room was completed. Daiyu arrived at the left room medical room on the first floor and lay down on the only hospital bed. The originally red infection value turned green, indicating that the treatment was effective and the infection value was being reduced. Shi Tu said, "Xiao Dao, since Lin Wu has led away the zombies, that area is a relatively safe one. You should hurry up and search again." Xiao Dao nodded and said, "Then I'll go." After giving a few words of advice, Stone returned to the room and pulled out his baseball bat to walk towards the infirmary. At this moment, Lin Wu had already shaken off the zombies and hid in a Navy souvenir store near the intersection. He watched the zombie swarm gathering outside the store slowly disperse from the window, and then began to scrutinize the situation of the store. With the help of a flashlight, Lin Wu first solved the 2 sleeping zombies in the store. Due to the fact that the zombie swarm outside only dispersed rather than disappeared, Lin Wu, who was unable to leave the store, could only grope inside the store. Lin Wu found an ammunition package in the cabinet under the cash register, but unfortunately couldn't take it with him. "There is another chip, I'm not sure if it's useful, so I'll throw it into my backpack first." Finally, Lin Wu took off a sailor suit from the model and turned around to see that the store was empty. Lin Wu didn't give up and carefully searched each counter, only to find 4 12.7mm bullets under a torn newspaper. With this experience, Lin Wu flipped over some 9mm pistol bullets. When Lin Wu turned around again and was about to give up, he keenly noticed that there was a problem with the display cabinet in front of him. The central wooden board of this display cabinet is particularly thick. Lin Wu observed it with a flashlight and found that it was just an ordinary wooden board. He reached under the wooden board and found 2 boxes. Open the box, there are 2 P220 pistols and the magazine is full. This discovery greatly boosted Lin Wu's morale. With the spirit of grinding an iron pestle into a needle, he touched every inch of land in the store. Unfortunately, apart from being covered in dust, there are not even bullet casings. Seeing that all the zombies had dispersed outside, Lin Wu also left the Navy souvenir store and, with flexible mobility, safely avoided the zombies all the way back to the shadow base. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Game Manual. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10 Game Manual. Lin Wu pushed open the door and saw a small knife, which came up with a tight embrace. This made Lin Wu somewhat uneasy. Didn't I come back? The infection rate is only 20%. Lin Wu thought that Xiao Dao was a tough girl, how could she be so excited? How could one easily expose their poor and evil side? Xiao Dao shook his head, let go of Lin Wu, and said with some sadness, "Daiyu is dead." "Ah." Lin Wu asked in surprise, "How did you die?" The food issue for today has been resolved." Why is Lin Wu not sad about Daiyu's death? In fact, not getting angry before indicates that Lin Wu is very cultured. 100% pain, being bitten is truly painful. Therefore, Lin Wu had some regrets about Daiyu's death, but he was not sad. The stone on the second floor called the two of them up the stairs and said, "It's my fault." After Xiao Dao left, Daiyu was very worried about Lin Wu's safety and asked me if you would definitely be okay. I told her that I was just comforting Xiao Dao. She wanted to go out and find Xiao Dao to save you. Unexpectedly, she was attacked as soon as she left the safety zone. She was already highly infected and was bitten and grabbed a few times. When I arrived, she had already died and disappeared into white light. Oh. Lin Wu doesn't believe that Daiyu cares about her life or death, but since we haven't been together for long, Lin Wu can't draw conclusions about Daiyu's personality. Lin Wu looked at the status of the shadow base and saw that Daiyu's name had been moved to the cemetery. Lin Wu asked, "Stone, what is the death penalty?" He didn't really want Daiyu to come back. Stone said, "You go to the infirmary and lie down. Take the game manual and read it for yourself." Little Knife. "I'm fine." Shirtu said, "If you have nothing to do, you have to work. You can search along the safety zone of our base. Our safety zone covers parts of 3 houses, and I think we can find some good things." "Wait," Lin Wu said, "I'll show you something good." The stone's eyes gleamed brightly and said, "Gun." "That's right, it's a gun." "It's not just guns," Lin Wu raised his hands. "It's also 2 guns." "Yeah." Xiao Dao and Shi cheered and clapped their hands together, then punched Lin Wu. "Well done. There are unlimited bullets and durability in the safety zone of the base, and the 2 guns represent that the shadow base has a certain defense capability." The stone was not carried away by victory. "At present, we cannot go out with guns. If we shoot outside, half of the town's zombies will come to eat." Xiao Dao asked, "Can left-behind personnel practice their guns casually?" Stone said silently, "Don't you even read the game manual? Any noise generated within the base will be recorded, and the total value of the noise is directly related to the intensity of zombie attacks on the base." Lin Wu exclaimed, "Just the 3 of us, are zombies still attacking the city?" Stone nodded and said, "Occasionally attack the city, with a warning of 10 minutes in advance and a duration of more than 3 minutes. During the siege, zombies outside the safety zone will be attracted to join the siege team by the sound. In addition, indiscriminate looting will damage our own things and require material repair." Lin Wu thought for a moment and said, "During the zombie siege, we can escape the base from the back door steep slope and come back in 3 minutes. Stone said, "You underestimate the dawn too much. If we're here, the target of the zombies is us. If no one's there, the zombies will demolish the entire base. In addition, the 3-minute siege time means that the zombies will refresh outside the safe zone and launch an attack on us. It doesn't mean that all the zombies will disappear in 3 minutes. Go ahead, Lin Wu. You should go to the medical room and lie down, read the game manual carefully, and take another nap. You still have to work tomorrow morning. There are a total of 4 status bars for the character, which are life, endurance, fatigue, and infection. The maximum value for a normal person is 100. If the fatigue level is higher than 20%, it increases endurance loss by 20%. Fatigue is above 40%, and in addition to endurance loss, unexpected injuries may occur, such as sprains while walking. Fatigue is above 60%, with a high probability of accidental injury. Fatigue levels above 80%, in addition to endurance loss and accidental injuries, can also reduce load-bearing capacity in walking and running speed. Fatigue reaches 100% and immediate death occurs. There are 2 factors that affect fatigue. Whether the base food is sufficient, and whether players have enough sleep. The base only has one value, which is morale. 50% morale is quite normal, increasing or decreasing morale can affect the various abilities of base members. There are many ways to improve morale, besides ensuring food and sleep, adding more entertainment facilities, and reducing conflicts among members. There are still temporary events that have lowered morale, such as a 20% decrease in morale at Shadow Base within 12 hours due to Daiyu's death. In addition, it is due to personal reasons that morale is increased or decreased. For example, if someone's entry is lying in bed, if they have their own bed, their morale will have a separate bonus, otherwise it will decrease. Lin Wufan saw the injured part. There are various types of injuries and illnesses, including sprains, fractures, colds, bleeding, poisoning, etc. The safest way is to lie on the bed in the medical room and slowly recover. For various situations, there are also various symptomatic medications, such as bandages, antibiotics, anti-inflammatory drugs, detoxification drugs, and so on. Making drugs requires a junior doctor qualification, while a doctor qualification requires a skill book. Normal people can only learn one type of skill. In addition, making bandages also requires small things such as cloth strips and alcohol. The final part of the game manual is an introduction to death, formatting characters after death, resetting all skills and items. Randomly reborn in the suburbs of cities above the county level after 24 hours. Within 24 hours after resurrection, there is no need for diet or sleep. After reading the game manual, Lin Wu quickly fell asleep because he didn't have any negative entries. When I woke up again, it was already 7 o'clock in the morning. When I opened my eyes, I saw Xiao Dao sitting on a chair, with his hands propped up on his chin and staring straight at me. Lin Wu instinctively pulled the blanket over his chest and dodged to one side, saying, You, what are you doing? Quickly and quickly, flashing. Xiao Dao opened his innocent big eyes and asked, Are you okay? Lin Wu nodded as he saw that the infection rate had cleared to 0. Alright, come down. Oh. Lin Wu got out of bed, and Xiao Dao lay down. Seeing Lin Wu looking at him, Xiao Dao displayed his status bar. Everything was in silence. 27 remaining life points, 40% infection rate, for bleeding, 3 fractures, mild concussion. Lin Wu was surprised and said, You. Faced with the fierce woman, there were no words to answer. Xiao Dao startled a zombie during a search in the early morning. After killing the zombie, the sound attracted a second zombie, and in this loop, a series of screams and zombies appeared. The knife can only climb up the roadside billboard. Although zombies do not climb straight stairs, there are always a few screaming zombies that continue to howl in the billboard. This billboard is approximately 5 meters high, with advertising screens in the front and back, and a passage in the middle for replacing and repairing the advertising screens. In this passage, which is 30 centimeters wide and 5 meters long, a small knife occupies one end and fights against zombies that occasionally appear. Due to the narrow terrain, she only needs to face one zombie at a time. Accompanied by a long battle, her hammer was damaged, and the water pipes she found were also scrapped. In the end, she could only use her fists and feet to throw zombies down one by one. At 5 a.m., Shitu saw that Xiao Dao had not returned and went out to search. As soon as he left, he saw a lively scene 200 meters away. The stone shouted, causing the small knife with a brain that had a circuit but was not very good at turning to climb up to the top of the billboard. Following the advice of the stone, Xiao Dao jumped up and grabbed the height of the billboard with both hands. He reached the top of the billboard by pulling himself up. The top is only 10 centimeters wide, and the small knife is like a sloth, tightly hugging the billboard with all 4 limbs without moving. Due to a long silence, the zombies slowly dispersed, leaving only a few zombies waiting for a small knife to come down the billboard passage. Finally, Xiao Dao seized the opportunity, jumped off the billboard, and with the help of the stone, returned to the base to deal with the following zombies. At present, the base is short of supplies and cannot provide medication treatment. The best and only way is to go to a medical bed. The idle little knife sat in front of the medical bed waiting for Lin Wu to wake up. End of this chapter.